Hello, good afternoon. This is an extension of an earlier program. I was supposed to be joined by Kudla, Jani, and Wildfire DJ to talk to the challenges that Zimbabwe faces. There are two individuals that are talked about that dominate the airwaves. One is the current president, President MNANGAGWA, and the second individual is Nelson CHAMISA, the advocate. They were competitors in the 2018 elections. The outcome was disputed. It went to the Constitutional Court, and the Constitutional Court dismissed the challenge. So this show really is part of this bridge building and provoking the two individuals to be the basis of our discussion. On the one hand, you have Nelson CHAMISA, who was a minister during the inclusive government, and you have President MNANGAGWA, who has been president of Zimbabwe, a member of the cabinet for pretty much the 37 years that the late President Mugabe was the prime minister and the president of the country. He has been president since November 2017. To what extent are these individuals the villains or the saviors of Zimbabwe? What is your take? Is the Zimbabwe problem a result of these two individuals, or it's bigger than what meets the eye? What is your take on the Zimbabwe problem? I thought I would be able to pick a topic and look at the two sides in connection with what Zimbabwe is going through. The one term that has been used by President MNANGAGWA is an economic saboteur. What would inform somebody in the stature of a president to label citizens economic saboteurs? What is that mindset that would inform the characterization of some people as economic saboteurs? Just the idea of calling somebody a saboteur, what would inform that? What would inform that perspective of a saboteur? So today I'm joined by Wildfire, and we are trying to provoke a better understanding of the state of mind, the mind that we can't read, and look at the two minds that we have on this show. The mind of President MNANGAGWA, the mind of Advocate Nelson CHAMISA on this idea called an economic saboteur. Wildfire, what is an economic saboteur?
It's somebody that wants to destroy the works that are being done by others in the name of the country. You know, somebody who works against the development of whether it's economy or the development of the country. Well, from the
Can
top
we
of my
Google and maybe perfect? I know you are right. What do people define an economic saboteur as?
Okay, let me.
So that we get into the mind of the people we look up to lead us.
Okay, 1 second while I open up my page here. Economic saboteur.
Yeah.
Economic saboteur. Okay. Meaning. Okay, let's see.
So I've just one that I've picked. Okay, go ahead.
It means squeezing the country's. Means squeezing the country's staff for food, oil, and outside contacts by sanctions. That is the first definition that I see. I don't know whether it's the same one that you got as well.
That you say. No, I was just trying to research on President MNANGAGWA's take on this idea of an economic saboteur. Okay. So I just picked something on the Neanda radio. This is President MNANGAGWA yesterday described reports of alleged exchange rate manipulation, which also involved his top ally Kudakwashe Tagwire, as acts of economic sabotage, which must not be tolerated. And not tolerated that the central bank recently, I am encouraged by the nation's positive response to the currency reforms, which we have embarked on, and government is equally pleased with the relative stability of the exchange rate over the past 8 weeks. However, last week's events of exchange rate manipulation amounts to economic sabotage and should not be tolerated. We all need to adhere to the rule of law and foster discipline at all levels. And then he goes on, and that is aware of the challenges, but is using this, that there is a term called economic sabotage. And so for our community, do you think this term ought to be interrogated?
Yes, definitely. Because I don't think there is anybody who would deliberately damage or destroy their own country, or be part of a syndicate that wants to see the downfall of its citizens.
So let's now, if you were asked to invade President MNANGAGWA's mind, what do you think you would find on this issue of economic sabotage?
Conspiracies, lack of trust, fear, and somebody who has no clue of what is going on around him.
So let's talk about economic sabotage. That when you look at it, currency, the rate at which you can buy or sell foreign currency. And then somebody says the government has put an exchange rate of 10 to 1, 10 Zimbabwe dollars to 1 US dollar. And the black market, not that it's a market of blacks.
Yeah.
But this market that is created by government actors refusing to understand the laws of economics. Then they put an exchange rate of 10 to 1 when the market is 20 to 1.
Is that not sabotage on itself already?
Huh?
Is that not sabotage already?
Laxon wants the link. Let me take it from here, because we only give to members. Is that correct? It's just a way to provoke others to be part of the community where these issues can be discussed, and the state of mind can be interrogated.
Okay, so the link, you send it to him directly, right?
I put in the coffee session.
Okay, all right, yeah.
All right. So
that's
Laxon, is it Laxon Chiwai or not our Laxon?
I think that's him, Laxon Chiwai.
All right, is the same Laxon? Okay.
Yes, it is the same.
We are saying, let's try to play this game of invading people's minds and go deeper on people's minds. And the mind we are focusing on now is President MNANGAGWA. Then we focus on the mind of CHAMISA. So I just Googled something just to understand the state of mind. The person who says the exchange rate is 10-1 and the market is 20-1, and you arrive in Zimbabwe with $1.
Yeah.
Where would you take it to get your Zimbabwe dollars?
I'll take it to the black market, where I get a good rate.
They are called an economic saboteur. For doing what is right for you.
Because I know my pockets. So you are trying to say to me, no, this is how you need to spend your money. You cannot tell me how I spend my money. If the black market gives me value for my money, that's where I'll go.
But this is your president, the one who is the person who takes an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution, your right to your money, your right to your value. And he's telling you, if you go to where it's 20-1, you are an economic saboteur.
Then I would gladly be that.
Would he respect your property? For that idea to be present in his mind, what is his attitude towards property and property rights?
Already it shows that he doesn't understand the constitution that he sought to uphold. Two, he has no idea or respect for people's properties. He's treating people's values and properties as his personal things to play and toy around with.
This is your president. Yeah, you are trying to penetrate his mind just to get the ideas that inform public policy.
Yeah.
And here you are, and somebody asks you, is cash property?
Yes, it is.
How so?
It's of value to me. It's something that I worked for.
And US dollars, who issues the US dollars?
That's the American government.
So what is the relationship between the US dollar and the government of Zimbabwe?
There is no relationship there whatsoever.
So if there's no relationship, what idea would inform the labeling of those who seek to maximize their own return on value they created or they have access to, independent of government? What would inform that person to call you a saboteur? Or the mind, not the president himself?
So I think it goes to what I'd said earlier on, that it's somebody that has no clue of what is of the reality of things, because when you then say I've made a decision to say your $1 is worth 10 Zimbabwean dollars, when on the outside it would give me $20, it means that it's either I don't have respect for you as an individual, or I don't have respect of your property at that moment.
All right.
Mhm.
So you are saying there's something a problem, but is the president alone in holding this view that
Mhm.
foreign currency is a national asset? The moment you
Mhm.
generate it, you have it in Zimbabwe, your relationship with it must be subordinated
Mhm.
to government. Is he alone?
No, he's not. He's not alone. But
Yeah.
then also,
So,
I think it goes to how then do we sort of bring this to light and share more on the issue of property, the issue of one's rights, where they start and where they end, where government starts and where it ends. So I think those are the things that we might need to look at as well.
so do you think this community building
Mhm.
can actually help penetrate the minds of those we look up to?
Mhm. Yes,
Hmm?
yeah, it definitely would. It definitely would.
It definitely would.
Yes.
Okay, so where do we start? Do we start building communities, or we start by assuming that we all have a shared understanding of what property is and what property is not?
There is a danger in assuming that we are all on the same page. I think by starting with building a community and then throwing in these ideas, then it will inform um, the kind of conversations that we then take out to public platforms.
So if the president has not been an exporter, has been working for government,
Mhm.
where would you expect him to acquire this wisdom that government has no business in robbing private people of their wealth in the name of some national idea
Mhm.
that foreign exchange is a national resource, yet the foreign exchange we are talking about is printed and is the currency of another country?
Mhm.
That where do you think the president relies upon? If you
Mhm.
look at the people around him, the people who are supposedly benefiting from this
Mhm.
idea of theft of private property in the name of nationalization.
Mhm.
uh, do you think there are people surrounding the president who understands that foreign exchange is the property of the holder?
Mhm. Mhm.
And the moment the government dips into your wallet and
Mhm.
criminalizes you, then there's something wrong in the idea
Mhm.
of property itself.
No, that's true. That's true. So I think the question that you posed to say, look, um, where does then this idea of saying that a government then can detect or determine how you use your property um, on its own? It's a great question, and one that is worth interrogating, one that is worth bringing onto a debate, with these government actors, to say, look, where does this mind come from? Why would you want to detect to me in terms of how I utilize um, my property? You know, where is the respect there of one's value?
Okay. So if we then take if you Google CHAMISA and economic saboteur,
Mhm.
I don't find anything
Mhm.
uh, that speaks to that. Hmm?
I'm trying to Google it as well and see if I can come across anything.
Maybe you may be lucky.
There's nothing.
There's nothing.
That, yeah, there's nothing that pops up.
So Laxon says it may not be taken as positive idea, but may be put on the side of opposition. So we find that CHAMISA, in his own words, he has not responded to this defining term on property rights in Zimbabwe.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Okay, I think Laxon says it may not be taken as a positive idea, but may be put on the side of opposition. Okay.
Yeah, that even talking about this can be seen to be subversive. So maybe Laxon is afraid even to talk. Good afternoon, Wellington. Actually, the president may be upset that what we are saying is economic sabotage. All we are saying is that foreign exchange is property of the holder, not of government. So what would inform this general idea that Forex is because it's scarce, if water is scarce, it becomes government water.
Mm-hmm.
If electricity is scarce, it becomes something else. State House and their incumbents are not our salvation, Wellington says. But how many people don't think like you, Wellington? Because ideas matter. Somebody has got an idea that Forex is a national resource, and therefore government must divest you of your money, deprive you of what the market can offer, and tell you that you must go to the auction. And any refusal or mischief is then classified as economic sabotage.
I think it also goes to show, Mr. M, the mindset of an individual, especially the one that has been chosen or voted to by the people to say you become our administrator, but then you don't have faith in the people that have elected you. You start calling your people forces of darkness, or you call them economic saboteurs. It leaves a lot of questions, than answers.
So, do you agree that there is no shared understanding?
I totally agree.
And the CEO says absolutely, these people around the president are beneficiaries of the road. What about if there's no shared understanding? Mm-hmm. And I'm not a beneficiary. I come from a school of thought that says you work for the nation.
Mm-hmm.
And if you work for the nation, when you export, it is the nation that has allowed you to export.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? What if that is my school of thought? And what is public interest? Is Forex a public good or a private good?
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Is Forex a private or public?
It's private.
Yeah. It's private. But do you think there's a shared understanding whether it's private or public?
No, there is no shared. Hence, the extent of saying 1:10 when the market says something else.
Yeah. So if there's no shared understanding, how best do we negotiate a shared understanding? without being classified as economic saboteurs?
I think we've started by having this conversation already. It means that we are playing our part. We are bringing this issue to light. To say, look, we are not economic saboteurs, but this is what the market determines. It's not an individual that can determine what the market represents.
So if we are talking about Tin Chris, he says, it's not new. Mawere, you are a victim too. How so? Now CHAMISA is a threat to ED. How so? We are just talking about what economic saboteur is and whether Forex, as stated by the president, is a national good, national asset, national product, or is a private product. As a community, we should be first be in the right books of the authorities so as to be listened to. Otherwise, having good ideas when we are nobody, then the ideas will be regarded as trash and never be considered. But who is the authority in a democracy except Laxon? Why should we be in the good books of anybody? Why should we not understand the idea of a nationalized private asset? Because the Zimbabwe government has no relationship with Forex. But here we are, somebody calling you an economic saboteur, and you are silent, Laxon. You're not fighting anybody. All you're saying, President, let's have a conversation on what private property is and is not. And the senor agrees, says, agreeable. So I agree to some extent. There is no shared understanding by office bearers. However, there is a deliberate element. Let's not overlook that. I have evidence to support my valid statement. By the way, add me to testify. I'm not asking you to. I'm just a power of ideas. We will go to the community that Laxon is a member of to say, let's understand what we are talking about. What is the mind? We're trying to locate CHAMISA's mind on this term called economic saboteur so that we can compare and contrast. But if there's no expression from CHAMISA, we are provoking the media to have him speak to this issue so that we all can converge on a shared understanding. Is Forex a private or public asset? Are foreign exchange holdings of private people state assets, permitting somebody to be called an economic saboteur? That's all we are asking. But Laxon, for some reason, he would want us to be in the right books, not the left books, not the righteous books, not the legal book. He wants us to look nice, talk nicely, while somebody who could have earned a better exchange rate is now being told or commanded to receive less, and then being called an economic saboteur. For me, just having a relationship with Forex, I've been in business since 1998 till 2016. I've observed the challenges and loopholes, not only me, but many. Some have chosen to remain silent. We are not there yet. We are just saying, is there not a cause for us? Not just me and Wildfire, but to provoke a national conversation on what an economic saboteur is, based on the observation made by the national president on this issue. That's all. Is there not a cause to deepen and broaden our understanding? Yes or no? If it's yes, then you are welcome to be part of this. But not to criticize anyone, but to recognize that the idea of what is national and what is not national is not a shared one. That we may be thinking that we have all the answers and point fingers, but somebody doesn't know what we know, or what you may know, what Wildfire said, that is a private asset. And if I woke him up in the evening at midnight, he will still be saying it's a private asset. And any other construction results in a penalty to somebody. And if that penalty is occasioned by somebody in government, then the government has become associated with the conduct that deprives and divests private citizens of their property. That's all. And who would want to be a president of a country in which private assets are taken away, or the freedom to use those assets is now curtailed? And more importantly, that you become an enemy of the state when the state has nothing to do with this property. The president's observation implies that anyone who does not agree with this government on any position the ruling party takes is a saboteur. But Wellington, is the president alone in asserting this? Let's not talk about government yet. We're talking about the power of ideas, the battle of ideas, the festival of ideas. He, even before he became president, you may be surprised that the idea of what is national and what is private is blurred, not because of him alone, but because people who may be associated with him are telling him that the exporters cannot export without your consent. You are the head of state, and as a head of state, anything that happens in that territory must fit in your head, and you must be the guardian. And if you say somebody is a saboteur, then that person may be imprisoned, even for saying what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the president, so I'm talking about the mind of the person called the president that would then make this utterance possible. That's all I'm saying. And he, in making this statement, he is also saying that something. And that something
that we need to listen to and interrogate and read with open minds. What exactly is he saying when he's saying, yeah.
And you are right, Wildfire, because sometimes even when I'm communicating with you, you may have a different understanding of what I'm saying.
That's correct, yeah.
And I may have a different understanding of what I'm saying, and the need for us to build this community so that we can learn to understand each other. And when we have a shared understanding, things move forward.
That's true. That's true.
Mr. Mawere, to have a shared understanding will only take a person who compromises and lets go personally, standing point to a shared one. Now looking at the powers that be, they can't swallow their own preconceived ideas to take one from you and me. No, we are not saying we just want to get a better understanding of the idea that informs this this construction. So we are not here to criticize or to do anything beyond what we are doing. You see, here it says, what is the title, Walfa?
President MNANGAGWA versus, MNANGAGWA rails against economic saboteurs.
So according to this, do you agree that there are people he thinks exist who are human beings but are now called saboteurs?
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah. So he is not naive. He knows what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm. It means that he has applied his mind to it.
That's
for
right.
him to come to the conclusion that there are people or there are forces that are acting against the economy of forces that. Yeah. Sorry.
And then he says, however, last week's events of exchange rate manipulation, he's stating that as a fact. But the president has no investigating powers. So it must be in his head that there is exchange rate manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
And who is the greatest manipulator? And he's also saying that if there's manipulation of exchange rate, that manipulation can only result from mischief, not protection of someone's property right and promotion of the best value. Yes, there's a serious cause for concern. I think President E.D.'s statement is not only politically incorrect, desperate attempt to intimidate fellow Zimbabweans, but the utterances are misplaced. What if he doesn't know what you know, Signoro? Can you talk to him as disorganized? You may also be a problem, or I may also be a problem. But the topic here is not meant to take any further steps but the state of mind. That he's not alone. There are PhDs, there are masters of business, there are chartered accountants who believe that government has a better claim on Forex, that the management of Forex must be vested in government actors. That is not new. It's not Zimbabwean. There are many other countries who have presidents and the citizens who think like that. And that's what we are saying, even the people in the diaspora. What would be your reaction if this idea was given legs into the country where you are staying? Would you be satisfied that you are safe when, in exercising your sovereign rights to your own property, you are then called an economic saboteur? Mr. Laxon, in Botswana, what is the exchange rate policy? Is there something like this happening in Botswana? We are not here to fight anyone. We are trying to look at these two characters. We have been searching. If you find CHAMISA statement on Forex, on economic saboteur, please give it to us so that we understand the context in which he also processes this. Because we are saying, like Wildfire said, that Forex is a private asset. It's not manna from heaven. No. Somebody has given up something to get it. Imagine, Wildfire, a prostitute. You go to Mozambique and you trade your services for cash. Then bring that cash, the proceeds of enterprise.
Proceeds of enterprise, yeah. Okay.
And you arrive in Zimbabwe. And you go to a market that is not black, but a market that gives you more than what the auction is. And you get arrested. And they confiscate the proceeds of enterprise.
Yeah.
And you are thrown into prison.
For my proceeds of enterprise.
Would you go back again to Mozambique?
No, I'm not going back.
This is not rape. What is it? What is rape?
No, that is the true definition of rape. I mean, there is no other definition of rape than this one. So I'm enterprise.
Discounted sex.
No, I'm not going back to Mozambique, and I think I would even quit my enterprise.
I'll put the cash in my private parts.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
run away from anyone working for the government, or just
Mhm.
anyone with this idea
Mhm.
of taking my services without
Yeah.
paying the right compensation.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's cash and carry,
Mm.
cash and partake.
No, that's true. That's true. That is true.
There's no post-dated check here. This is it's a transaction. I don't want to have national sex. That somebody says if you do it, then the proceeds are national.
Nationalize my proceeds. I
My
mean,
bro-
imagine, Mr. M. I'm sitting and I've got this idea that okay, I'm going into this enterprise business of mine. There is no government involvement. Only I get to know of the government when I've got cash at hand. That oh, by the way, this is how your money has to be spent, or this is the value of the money that you have. You don't put into consideration how I acquired that money, but you want to tell me how I should spend it. I would not want to be in that situation.
So, but now you see the challenge of
Mm. Okay, seem to have lost Mr. M there. Not sure. He might have clicked on the
hello.
hello. Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Do you see the danger
Hmm.
of this problem?
No, it is a huge problem that really needs to be addressed and put on the public platform, so that we are all educated on the issue of property rights. You know, because it seems like we've got blinkers, most of us, when it comes to what is property and what are your rights when it comes to your property.
No, but
So
why do you
a shared
include
understanding.
yourself in this idea, Wildfire, when you just said, Forex
Mhm.
is a private asset,
Yeah.
period. Any
Mhm.
other idea is called nationalization.
Mhm.
Why nationalize my
My,
property
my,
without my consent? One
my
way or
enterprise.
the other, it is much important to keep the principle of positivity in mind. Labeling people with weird titles only happen when someone take the step to respond in anger. Wisdom must be seen in our leaders, Mr. Mawere. Great, support you. Don't support me, admire. I'm not here to be supported. I want you to think about the ideas that inspire, the ideas that provoke positive action, the idea that ignite you to live up to the promise of the creator that you are the creative genius.
Mhm.
If you go out and you are a hunter and you catch something, that something is yours, ought to be yours. There can never be a circumstance where somebody says you are economic saboteur for eating that which you have captured in the animal kingdom.
Mhm.
Imagine at harvest time, somebody comes and says, shit, wildfire, it's good harvest,
Mhm.
but 30% belongs to me.
But where were you when I was plowing? I'll take up arms.
That's why in America they call it the First Amendment,
Mhm.
the
The
right
right
to
to bear
bear
arms.
arms.
I'll surely take up arms.
That I would say, Mr. President, please, you took an oath of office to protect my property,
Uh-huh.
not to divest me in the name of faceless and nameless people, so that
Mhm.
others can buy buses, others can import fuel, and I surrender my cash to them. Wouldn't that make you angry when you see Zupko Basi running around
No, definitely be angry, and
with your cash in it.
I'll definitely be angry and be ready to look for the nearest arm I can get and fight for what is surely mine.
All right. So maybe as we close, we are saying to the people who are viewing, have you found this conversation of value to you? Just put yes or no so that we can provoke the building of a community so that some of these issues are unpacked. If somebody has unpacked it before, in the same way we have had in this conversation, hashtag Vraimaziso. No, hashtag read the mind. Hashtag battle of ideas. Let's interrogate the ideas, not the men. Because I may go to Venezuela and I find the same thing in Venezuela. I may find the same thinking in Cuba. I may find the same thinking in Russia and China, North Korea. So let's discuss ideas without talking about the people who have those ideas. We want to celebrate ideas. We want to salute ideas that speak to the human spirit, that speak to the human aspiration. Having gone to Mozambique to sell my body, then I get the fruits from the people who are transactional partners. Then I come to Zimbabwe. Then somebody says, the fruits that you got from private enterprise are now state assets or state harvest. Just that idea alone, not the person. Then I become, by default, an economic saboteur for looking for the best value for the property I'm holding. This has nothing to do with the president. This has to do with the mindset. So, have you found it interesting? I only see Senor who has found it interesting. I think for the others, they know it already.
Yeah.
And they don't know that ignorance can be the biggest elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyone else?
That has found this of value, and if you think this idea needs to be interrogated also, further, let us know.
Yeah, I think Senior deserves an honorary membership.
No, definitely it does. It does. He's fought for it.
But I don't think there's a ticket to heaven that is honorary. We just have to celebrate being part of a community of value.
Mm-hmm.
ED needs help. You never admit. Unfortunately, it's not about ED, CHAMISA, or individual. It was not even about other gym guys. Chirenje says, interesting discussion. So, Chirenje, do you want to be part of this community where no holds barred discussions take place? Not about ED, not about CHAMISA, but just using them to find their differences, if any, and their common understanding, if any, so that the battle lines are drawn. The Forex is private or public. Just simple. So I do hope that you found it of value. of interest. And those who want to be part of this community, please step forward and step up to the plate. We need more people like Wildfire to speak truth to power, not to have a fork that targets certain people, and where scholarship is prostituted in order to blind everybody to agenda-driven conversations. We are interested. I'm saying I am interested in just provoking, igniting, and inspiring thinking, critical thinking, positive thinking about ideas. Because even the greatest city, the big, tallest building starts with an idea. That let's build civilizations founded on ideas that are founded on fairness, on justice. Of course, Prophet Mawera, I'm a revolutionary fighter. I don't fight losing battles. No, Senor, this is not about pride. This is about the reality, the imagined reality of the mind that informs public policies that then harm citizens. And the people who are harming them by wrong ideas believe that they're doing them a favor by making them queue for the very asset that belongs to them. Imagine you go to hospital, you have a baby, and then somebody from government takes the baby. And you say, what's going on? He says, it's a national baby. It belongs to us, the people. You have done your job for the nation. We have now one soldier. Who do you want to be in that country where that idea is given expression in utterances?
No. I would never want to be in that country or find myself in that situation.
So why is it that the people in the diaspora who can see things, who can sing Amazing Grace, are blinded by their presumed power to tweet, to run amok on social media, without stepping back to be organized, to say, President, this idea that you have, where did it come from? And what informed it? We are not saying you must go hashtag Zim lives matter, because they do matter. But ideas matter. Because somebody may call you an economic saboteur without thinking about property rights and why people would be accused of manipulation when they're just trying to survive in a difficult environment. Somebody has sent me $1,000. Then I say, what is the exchange? They says auction rate. I say, shit, I'm in trouble. So I'm leaving money on the table. Why would I leave good money on the table? Because the idea that informs that is a bad idea. But the one who expresses it may not actually know it's a bad idea. As you have said, Wildfire, have you ever spoken to the president?
No, I haven't. but my colleague has, and I was present.
You have not spoken to him.
Yes.
Imagine you were a journalist and you said, I'm so inspired. I want to ask the president about the idea that a human being can be a saboteur for choosing to get the best value for himself, pursuant to his own enterprise. Yeah? I just want to interrogate the idea. I'm not fighting anybody. Talk to me one-on-one, Mr. President.
I just want to understand.
Where is it? I just want to understand. I want to improve my literacy. I belong to C2C group, a group of positive thinkers, critical thinkers, who are saying interesting ideas that Wellington has accepted that ideas matter and they can be interesting, they can be sexy, they can be newsworthy. That, Mr. President, I just want to indulge you and penetrate your mind. When you said this, who wrote the speech if it was written by somebody? Does this president does this idea speak to the aspirations of Zimbabweans like Wellington, who decided to come home and he works hard, he gets money offshore, and then he wants to convert it, and he's told, man, go to the what? Go to the auction where the guillotine is waiting for you to chop your money so that you receive a percentage of your money, not 100%. And if you don't do that, hell will fall on you like what it did Mawere, who was accused of externalization. When he's already external, that idea alone called externalization, is there not a cause to interrogate it? And what mind would inform that idea that a person can steal from himself?
And then go and report that I've stolen for myself.
No, that's somebody, Minister of Justice, who doesn't even know what exports are. He doesn't have the job. Then he comes out and issues a reconstruction order and say, I've reason to believe that you are a criminal. And yet he has no power to investigate. That power is vested in the in the police. He doesn't report to the police, but he proceeds to act on the basis of this suspicion, the wrong idea, the toxic idea, and he gets away with it. Because Wellington is sleeping on the job. Wellington believes this is Mawere's problem. It's not my problem. Yeah, when those bad ideas visit journalists, then some people begin to wake up and say Zimbabwean matters. Do you see the problem?
No, definitely. I see the problem. I think the time to speak is now and act now on some of these issues that we ignore, and just get clarification on what is and what isn't.
The president, if you Google now, president on constitutionalism, what do you find?
Okay.
Just Google. I think our challenges are resulting from the very political system obtaining in Zimbabwe. No, Paradza. It results from you and me not talking about ideas, talking about people. It's time to ask ourselves if this current system serves our purposes. We have said, let's come together, Paradza, and form a community around a problem. I think we should move towards a collective responsibility governance where all voters matter, all power is shared, but where there's ignorance, even in a WhatsApp group, the admin becomes the king. Toxic ZANU culture, where does it come in? When Venezuela, when North Korea have the same ideas, can be fought only through literacy and understanding of these ideas. You are right, Tencres. We have to wage a war against illiteracy, not against a person. How many people are elected to public offices with no public in their mind?
Yeah, so I found something. It says MNANGAGWA says he's committed to constitutionalism. I don't know if that can be seen.
Yeah. So MNANGAGWA says he's committed to constitutionalism.
Yes.
But constitutionalism is an idea that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable right. You know what an unalienable right is, Wildfire?
Kindly score me.
I can't take it away from you, and you remain you. I can't take life away from you, and you remain alive. I can't take your property from you, because you have worked for it. It's in the property is your personality. You know that.
That's true. That's true. There is
you have worked hard to create. You are the reason why gold becomes a ring, not a donkey, not a horse, not a baboon.
That's true.
So you can convert creatures of nature, mango into acha, mango into juice. Yeah?
No, that's true.
Yeah. So toxic, then I don't think Senior understands what I'm saying. Okay, by the way, to answer your question, yes, I have. I'm saying let's organize, not agonize. Let's not personalize this. Let this be one of the shows to provoke you, Senior, to become a member. Then, in our name, you can then write to the president to say, President, we are just interrogating ideas that speak to the human spirit. Whether this idea called human, whether this idea called, what do you call it, economic saboteur. Yeah. How do you propose the million people on Twitter come together? Instead of asking how, I must be the first one. How did Jesus propose that Christianity will cross borders? Imagine he was asked, and he left Last Supper. You know how many were there millions?
Which one? The Last Supper?
Yeah.
Didn't he have his 12 followers?
Yeah.
Plus one, I think.
No, did he leave them with cash?
No, it didn't.
With PA systems?
No.
With an address?
None.
Asking a question, how do you propose? Not me. Instead of saying, I've heard the message of the power of ideas. And ideas have no borders. Ideas have no tribe, have no nationality. Isn't it them advocating for something in one voice coming together as a community? No, we are saying, let us provoke this. If you believe that the ideas inform actions, instead of asking me, I am just a person of flesh. All I can do is have a conversation with Wildfire. What can I do? I don't know, but what I do know is people who are willing to learn, they can come together to learn and then take the next step. And it starts with one individual. Isn't it, Wildfire? We're supposed to end the show.
Yes, I think we had said we'll be here for 30 minutes.
30 minutes, and then what happened to Kuda?
Kuda is
shoot.
to a shoot.
And
Yes.
what did we say?
Let's just do it and not world. Yes.
There's no script.
Mm-hmm.
And all we wanted is to celebrate the power of community building. I've been followed by the most number of people in this week, people that were hosting for the hashtag. And we are, yes, you can be a community. But what if the idea behind Zimbabwe Lives Matter? What is that idea? Then we negotiate it. Mm-hmm. What if MNANGAGWA said, Kirsti what?
Coventry.
She's a Zimbabwean.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some people who are saying Zimbabwe Lives Matter, like Black Lives Matter. And they are married to whites. Then they call home and say, honey, what do you mean by Zimbabwean Lives Matter? He says, no, this is about blacks. ZANU-PF is butchering. Aren't you listening? Aren't you seeing what's going on? Mm-hmm. People in ZANU-PF are willing to pay 3.5 billion to thieves from Europe, but they're not willing to pay for test kits. So the idea behind Zimbabwean Lives Matter, let it come like this idea that would classify somebody as an economic saboteur. Where is it coming from? It comes from the mind. And that person with that mind is a human being like you and me. He could be wrong, but that's what he thinks, that Forex is a national asset. Once you generate it, you come within the territory of Zimbabwe, its use is no longer discretionary to you. That's the idea. But if you have been followed, there are many people who have been followed without understanding what idea informs it. Mm. The idea of America, you know what it is? It's founded on the principle of rights that come from nature, not government. Mm-hmm. That I am who I am, not because of a group, but because of me. I walk on my feet. Yeah, so yes, I've heard the message of substance here on this platform. Let's organize, like Mawere is preaching the same gospel. They are there who antagonize what? Antagonize, it's inevitable. I've been there. Welcome. No, it's not wrong to ask a question, Signor, because in asking a question, because I'm asked, Jesus, how do you propose we go to heaven? Yeah? How would I answer that? I have no answer. Mm-hmm. And I have to admit, I live in the present, but I cannot bring people together. Those who are willing, who show by their willingness to be part of the bigger idea of learning. How many people, Wildfire, don't want to learn?
No, there's a lot of people that don't want to learn and think that they know it all. But what I've discovered is we learn every day. I learn every day. And by so doing, I get enlightened.
Right now, you're supposed to have lunch. You're saying, let me continue. Let me endure. Let me do this because I want to be part of that conversation so that I improve my craft.
That's correct.
Because it is you, when I am not there, who has to stand up. Mm-hmm. Prophet Muhammad, have you ever seen his picture?
I haven't come across it. Yeah.
Have you ever seen a stadium that can accommodate 1 million people?
Not yet.
And why? Do we need to meet all of us to be one?
No, I mean, here we are, different locations, but we are meeting.
So if we can meet, and if there's something that I've said that you find a problem with, Talk about that issue, whether ideas matter or not. All I'm saying is that to call another human an economic saboteur based on an idea that is not tested. Let's test that idea. Where does it come from? It comes from a socialist idea, a commandist idea, a fascist idea, a statist idea that the state owns every citizen.
Very interesting. No one owns anybody. I think the idea that we are all individuals before we are collectives, and we've got minds of our own. You know, you might be thinking that Wildfire is doing this at the moment. Meanwhile, Wildfire is doing the other thing. You know, so yeah, that's a very interesting observation there.
But I cannot own you. Because you are you. You can decide.
I am my own person. I am my own person, and
you don't agree with me. Like yesterday, you didn't agree with me and say, no, I should keep Mshana talking, and we are not building anything.
Yeah.
And they're saying, come, flies, come and eat the meat. I'm going to share the meat with the flies. But the flies are visitors. But why should I visit something that is so important to me? Why should I leave? Why should I vacate? If it has taken me 40 years to build a community, then you're saying to yourself, is this person genuine? Then you have Janet. She contacts me through Twitter. Now she's saying, how do we propose to do it? How did Janet know me? Huh? She knew me from Twitter. Yeah. So does Twitter work?
Yes, it does. It connects people.
And seeing that tweet address, I now know he has, but she knows people. She knows people through me. I know people through here. So what is wrong with that?
And it goes to show that we don't need to meet, to get to know each other.
That's right. Yeah, not even a month, 2 months, and you can take stock and take a breath and say, thank God He reveals people I don't know through other people.
Yes.
And this project is so important that we align our thinking on the power of ideas. And those who don't know the power of ideas, let's build it brick by brick. Nobody has got an answers to what tomorrow holds. We don't have all working answers and formula to unlock the socio-economic challenges around us. Signor, if you say, I don't have answers, then you help me. When I say so, people think I'm joking. I don't even know what tomorrow brings. But I'm just human like you. So thank you. If you found it interesting, that's what C2C is all about. Provocation.
Right.
And yeah. And I
No,
think
thank
that.
you, Mr. M.
Okay, thanks.